Hey, it's Kyle here, and before I start with my book review today, I do want to mention my t-shirt. As you see, I'm a member of the Awkward Club for Awkward People. This is a t-shirt that was actually featured in a video by author Jackson Pierce. So if you'd like your very own Awkward Club for Awkward People t-shirt, I'll put the link for where you can order that t-shirt in the description box below. And with that out of the way, it's time to do today's book review. Today I'm reviewing Insurgent by Veronica Roth. Before I get started with the book review, first I have to say Insurgent is the second book in the Divergent trilogy, with Divergent being the first book. So if you have not read Divergent yet, you do not need to watch the rest of this review. I have done a book review for Divergent a couple months ago, so if you haven't read this book yet, go to the description box below. I'll post a link to the review I did for Divergent. Go watch that book review, because if you haven't read Divergent yet, then the rest of this book review for Insurgent will be full of spoilers. Divergent's a great book. I encourage you to read it. But please, if you haven't read Divergent yet, watch the Divergent review first and read that book before you watch the rest of this Insurgent review. I think I've gave you enough time to leave, so if you haven't read Divergent yet and you're still watching, you can't blame me for spoiling the plot. So Insurgent is the second book in Veronica Roth's Divergent trilogy. Insurgent picks off right at where Divergent ended, so there's no time lapse or anything like that. Basically, the plot is that pretty much a all-out civil war has broke out in the city of Chicago among the five factions that are described in Divergent, with no one side really completely sure what's going on. Nobody's really sure what the motives of the sides are. Each side is accusing the other side of lying and hiding the truth. So the main character in this book, Trish, is really caught in the middle. She can't figure out what's going on, who's telling the truth, which side she should be on, what tactics she could be using. So there's a lot of moral dilemma with Trish's character, as she tries to find her place in the world in the midst of this civil war that's broke out between the five factions. It's really destroying the entire way of life that everybody's known in this society. The other thing that I find really interesting about this book, Insurgent, is because of the five factions in this future society are all based on certain characteristics. So there's a brave faction, there's a truthful faction, there's a loving faction, a faction that seeks knowledge, a faction that values truth. All these, I guess, ideals are severely tested by this war that's broke out. So it's easy to say you're going to be loving, but how are you going to be loving in the midst of a civil war? It's easy to be truthful when there's not much going on, but when you're faced with situations that, the fate of your society's resting on a decision, how easy is it to be truthful then? So I really found it interesting how Veronica Roth uses the plot of Insurgent to kind of play around with the idea of how people stick to their ideals or abandon their ideals when faced with a really hard and drastic situation like a civil war. So the basic plot, like I said, is Trish is basically trying to find her way and trying to decide which side to take in this civil war, as the faction that values knowledge is basically trying to take over the entire society, and the other factions are trying to oppose that, but they're in a kind of weakened state. So some have decided almost to side with the knowledge faction, basically knowing that they're probably going to win and they need to suck up to the winners, and other ones sticking to their ideals, and even though they're pretty sure they're going to lose, they'd rather stick to the ideals and lose than abandon them and find a place in this new society that the knowledge faction is trying to create. Very action-packed. This is a book that's over 500 pages, a little 520 I believe, but reads really quickly because it's so action-packed. There is very downtime in the book, especially from one adventure to the next, There's no really boring segments in there again, like, why did Veronica Roth put this in there? It just moves from one dilemma and situation to the next very quickly. It's a very quick read, even though this is like 520 pages. I read this just in a couple of days, and if I'd had more free time, I probably could have finished it in one day. The one thing I will say, because it was so action-packed, you didn't get as much character development, or I should say more character interaction, as you did in the first book, Divergent. There you had a lot more conversations, a lot more one-on-one interaction. Here, stuff's a lot more fast-paced, so while the characters are having a discussion on an important issue, they're also, shooting at somebody or trying to run away and doing a getaway. There's not much, one-on-one interaction in a quiet room as they have the chance to talk and stuff like that. So you don't get quite as much character interaction like you did in Divergent in that side, which I really enjoyed that about Divergent. But I think if she tried to force this in Insurgent, it really would have fit because of all the fast-paced action. Insurgent's really a great book. I thought it was a really great follow-up to Divergent. She's taking the trilogy in a very interesting place. Really can't get too much into the plot because there are a few little surprise plot points that if I go too much into, I'll give away. Very interesting ending to the book. Really makes me interested to see what the third book in the trilogy will be like. That's supposed to come out in 2013, and she hasn't named that book yet, so don't know too much about that. But from where she ended Insurgent, I'm really interested to see what she does with the last book in the trilogy and where she takes the storyline of Trish and all the other characters. So if you enjoyed Divergent, I really think you'll enjoy Insurgent. Would highly recommend you read the second book. Continue with the trilogy. This is very much a series worth reading all the books. So hope you'll read Insurgent by Veronica Roth. Hope you enjoyed the video. And remember, if you'd like a Awkward Club for Awkward People t-shirt, just find that link in the description box below, and I will see you the next time.